fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
Okay, guys, welcome back to Broke Bets. We are back with our Cannonier versus Strickland full card picks and predictions. But before we do that, we'll do a betting recap of UFC 282. What's up, dude?
What's going on? It's the last UFC event of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we're on a giant roll right now. I think we're on a 15-unit run and 5 straight winning cards in a row. And we're just hoping to finish that streak here. We got 3.49 units winning off this card. A great ROI considering we bet 6.8. Let's just get into it. So, I bet Deron Till. I completely regret this bet. Till looked real bad in this fight. Never once has improved his takedown defense in his career, which is just kind of shocking. Got taken down easily. When Duplessis was tired in the second round and Till had a chance to actually go after him and finish him, Till let him recover. Yeah, a bad read. I can admit it. Next one, Chris Curtis knocked out Buckley. Timed his ass. We know Chris Curtis has really good defense, and just like Sean Strickland, they spar a lot, and I think that training goes in really well, and he just timed Buckley. I mean, Buckley was just hitting a lot of punches off his arms, and that was good money there. Going down, Blachowicz and Ankalaev. Like we said, the angle on the fight, we thought that Ankalaev would still be a decent bet, but the over rounds just seemed intriguing here. And Ankalaev, the only scare really was that leg kick shit going on. And Jan Blachowicz is made of goddamn steel. But over 3.5 rounds, hit. We pretty much doubled down on the main event, which was fucking awesome. Edmund Shabazi and Dalcha, the under 1.5 missed. I think Edmund just didn't want to risk getting finished and embarrassed in a comeback fight. And if he would have put like 2 or 3 punches together on Dalcha earlier, he would have fucking murdered him. But he wanted to be patient. I understand, and it got finished. I swear, like a minute after that time or something. Billy Q, Alexander Hernandez, under 2.5. I thought that these two were just going to go at it from the bell. I think our prediction was spot on with this fight. It was pretty much that Alexander Hernandez would fatigue and Billy Q would put on the storm afterwards, and the under played pretty perfect here at great value.
Yeah, especially when you go down in weight like Hernandez did for this fight.
Right.
You tend to see those guys get knocked out.
Haven't seen a successful one for a minute. You had your Paddy Pimblett and over 1.5 for the main.
Yeah, well, of course, Paddy won.
He got lucky, but...
Well, when you're a hype train like that, you're probably going to get...
Well, it's tough because, like, as a viewer, we watch this fight, and we can kind of tell how the rounds are, but if you're actually in the atmosphere of the building, I think the judges just hear the roars every single time Paddy throws a punch, and they don't really care when Jared does, and I think that influences the judges a lot, and you're going to see bad decisions like that often. But
yeah, I mean, I think it'll be better for Paddy moving forward betting wise, because I think the people will not bet on him,
and he might get another favorable matchup.
Yeah.
Jared Gordon's a tough opponent still.
Yeah, he is. I think he'll get a favorable matchup, especially for the London card.
Yeah, he ain't fighting Dvorak.
Yeah, yeah, no way.
And
then the over 1.5 and Blachowicz, Ankalaev. It just
easy.
With Ankalaev's last 5-round fight, you just saw how patient he was there with Santos. So
and Ankalaev in this fight, man, if he would have taken Jan down more times, it was so easy for him to take down Jan once he really went towards the ledge for a takedown. And he just kind of messed up that opportunity by only really searching for takedowns late. But about time we get like a nice robbery win our way. I think we got one 2 weeks ago or something as well, but We deserve one or two our way as well. Cameron Simon, the next bet, showed some poor fight IQ, climbing the back, getting thrown off a couple times. Again, it wasn't our original plan with the bet, but we had to make changes due to the dropout of the Daniel Da Silva fight. And then following that up with Jairzinho Christakis start round 3. No, the easiest hit you'll ever find. And Santiago and Alex Morono going over 1.5. These guys are just made to go over 1.5. If you just look at their tapology of every single fight they've been through, it's like there hasn't been like a first round finish in a while. So felt pretty good about that one. And that sums up another winning card, and let's continue that on this card. Okay, for the first fight of the night, we have Sergey Morozov versus Journey Newson. Sergey Morozov, I think he's just the more polished fighter here. I'll try to make this one pretty quick. Journey Newson, decent skill set, beat Fernie Garcia in his last fight with a little bit quicker movement, but what you're really going to see from Journey Newson, I think, is just the lack of finishing ability, probably at the UFC level. And Sergey Morozov, this guy, other than getting finished by like Douglas Silva de Andrade, he kind of had a pretty good fight in that still. He hurt de Andrade a couple times there. Did a good job versus Paiva, and he's got the wrestling option here. He's got good boxing. He's going to have better boxing than Journey Newson. And I think I'm just all over him for this fight. I have a hard time seeing Journey wrestle him to the ground or knock him out here. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Morozov should win this fight. You see on his record, he's only lost to by submission, really by top guys like Movsar Evlev, which was back in 2018, and then Umar Nurmagomedov when he made his UFC debut.
Right.
And I just don't see Journey Newson being able to find a submission here.
Yeah, I got him parlayed here. I just don't see too many options. We picked Journey Newson in his last fight, and got that one right. But again, it wasn't a very convincing, still even a win. It was unanimous, but he just stayed around the octagon, didn't do a lot. I think he just has less options here. Sergey Morozov by decision. Okay, for our next fight, we have David Dvorak versus Manel Kape. Dvorak riding a pretty good win streak until he fought Mateus Nicolau at UFC Columbus. Struggled in that performance. Kind of just followed Nicolau around the outside of the cage. Really had almost no good significant strikes in that fight. And hasn't really been the best run for him. Manel Kape, I don't think this date's right on that win. Definitely was not 11 months ago, which it says on my screen. For Zhalgas Zhumagulov, got caught with PEDs versus when he was matched up against whatever his name is, Sumaderji. And here he is fighting Dvorak. This dude, a really well-known striker here now in the UFC from Ryzen. And I think that he's just going to be the faster opponent here and has more options to win this fight. And I think he's going to find a knockout. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he'll find a knockout here. Most of his wins are by knockout, but Dvorak, he's never been knocked out before, which...
He got stunned pretty bad in his last fight a couple times.
Yeah, he did. But he's still never been finished with a KO, so I think that ends here, and Kape will find the knockout.
Yeah, I don't think I'd actually bet the specific knockout prop on this fight or anything. I think I'd just stick to just Kape. But I think also we're seeing Manel Kape kind of had a slow start in the UFC, faced two very good opponents. But I think he kind of got his groove going a little bit more with Ode Osborne and Zhumagulov. He knows he's that threatening striker, and what I also really like about his game is that he's willing to change the game plan to find his win, and that was pretty evident in the Ode Osborne fight. Kind of was getting hit in some spots and changed some of his techniques up until he did a flying knee and killed him. I think he's just going to be a step ahead in the striking and the speed, and if he's on PEDs, don't bet against the guy on PEDs, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I like I like that KO. I'm thinking round 2. Dvorak still got a good chance. He could try to grapple here, but Kape can get up from grappling pretty well. And again, if he's just going to stalk around and try to hit Kape like he tried to do with Matheus Nicolau, where he just follows him, he's probably going to get stunned at some point. So, Manel Kape, I got knockout round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Bryan battle versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. Fakhretdinov taking his UFC debut in his last fight against Andreas Michailidis. Got the win there pretty dominantly, out-wrestled him pretty much the whole fight. If you see this guy's record, it's pretty padded with that 20-2 record. But at the same time, I'll give props to him. He looked pretty damn good in the UFC debut. And I think that, he still holds up here as a pretty quality fighter. Bryan Battle on the other side, the tough season, whatever it was, winner. And most recently beating Takashi Sato in a crazy head kick KO. I don't think I've ever seen... You don't see people go so stiff too often, and Takashi Sato was really stiff from that knockout. But what I think I see from this fight is I see a Bryan Battle victory. It's going to be a very close fight, and it feels like a tough fight. Are you going to doubt? Which guy are you going to doubt? They're both on a huge win streak here. Battle, I feel like, has been doubted more. Obviously, a couple more UFC fights, been in the eye of the fans a little bit longer. I think I like him to win a decision here, skirting around the octagon, using his legs to maybe touch Rinat at range. And when it comes to the grappling, I think that Rinat can take him down, but Battle will fight to get to his feet and use his jiu-jitsu to defend himself and, again, possibly get up to his feet. So what do you like here?
Yeah, I like Battle's striking ability in this fight. I think he'll be able to move around the octagon and piece him apart. The only worry is just Fakhretdinov just laying on him, but
right.
I like Battle to be able to get up and do the more damage and win a decision here.
Yeah, and Battle's making a big cut. I mean, he looked kind of rough in his last weigh-in, but he's making a big cut here to welterweight. And Rinat, a little bit skinnier of a guy. I mean, all these Russians seem to be stronger than what their weight is, but yeah, I think the thing is with the stand-up, the kicks could lead to takedowns, which could be scary, but his kicking game has kind of been the staple of his stand-up. Keeps the distance, and I think it's gotten a shit ton better since he's been in tough. If you've watched his, bout with Andre Petroski, not that I think super highly of Petroski, he still is a wrestler. Battle put him in a Darce choke, or anacondaed him or whatever, and got him out of there, and he could do the same to Rinat with a submission here. But yeah, I like Battle by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Maheshate versus Rafa Garcia. I'm not really sure if it's Maheshate or Maheshate. I'm gonna fuck it up. Anyway, for this fight, we're looking at a young prospect versus a pretty tested fighter here in Rafa Garcia. I like Rafa Garcia here. The dude, every single time, I think he's gonna surprise everybody with his performances. In the Drakkar close fight, I kind of wrote him off a little bit. I thought Drakkar would not get taken down, control all the striking, and kind of win that fight. And Rafa showed up and made it a really close fight on short notice. Jesse Ronson dominated him from start to finish, although he's not too great. Beaten Tan Levy. Lost those two other ones, but this dude can keep it really competitive in the stand-up. And You'll see from Maheshate that he beat Steve Garcia, but I mean, I don't know how you feel about Steve Garcia. I don't think that highly of him. I mean, he beat Chase Hooper, but Chase Hooper has no stand up. And I don't know. I think that if you watch that Steve Garcia fight, Steve Garcia is just sprinting after him until he runs into the cage. Even so, Maheshate got hit a couple times in weird scenarios, and a really good knockout. We made the pick on him there, got the underdog play, but not totally a tested record, and we haven't really seen him have to fight the wrestling too much, and I think Rafa could mix that in here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, with you as well. Especially in that Drakkar close fight. He made that fight a lot closer than we both expected. I think we were both high on Drakkar close in that one. And it was 1-1 headed into that third round.
Right, in a high-paced fight.
Yeah, exactly. They were putting it on each other. And I like Garcia to do that here as well. I think he wins a decision.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're leaning that way as well.
No, I like it.
But, yeah, I like his experience, and I think his experience in all three rounds will benefit him in this fight.
I mean, I think he hits all three categories in my books. He's got pretty good grappling, competitive striking, and good cardio, and I think that makes for a fighter you bet on. I do have a money line bet on just Rafa Garcia for a unit. I'm kind of surprised the MMA community is going all in on Maheshate, but I think they also, I think people also just see a young hype train and kind of want to hop on it. And
I mean, the odds indicate it's 50-50 fight. I mean, Rafa Garcia is
right.
minus 115, Machete's minus 105, so pretty much a pick 'em.
Right. But yeah, I got to stick with Rafa Garcia here by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Said Nurmagomedov versus Saidyokub Kakhramonov. In this one, the battle of the longest names in the world, we have a tough matchup and an interesting, I think, viewpoint in a small cage here for this fight. We're going to see, I think, Nurmagomedov stirred around the cage, using his kicks, which he loves to do, and Kakhramonov trying to chase and probably fight for takedowns. And this dude loves just to clinch up the whole fight and try to get people to the ground. Personally, I like Nurmagomedov here. I think that the standing, use of length, the kicking game, and I just think he's going to be way more dangerous on the feet. Kakhramonov, in his last fight, beat Ronnie Lawrence. Looked like he was just a lot bigger than Lawrence. Took him down the whole time and dominated him. And it didn't look like Ronnie Lawrence also had the best defensive wrestling, but has better offensive wrestling. His Trevin Jones fight kind of just got clinched up most of the fight, got taken down by Trevin Jones until he found a submission late in the fight. Doesn't look like the best performance when you look at this fight here. And I think that Said, just how unorthodox he is, man, he hurt Silva de Andrade a couple times in their most recent fight, and I think that he's going to find a knockout here with just something unorthodox going on. I mean, way faster, too, on the feet. I'm going to say a round 2 KO. That's my thoughts for this one. What are your thoughts?
I think Nurmagomedov, he's not a normal Nurmagomedov with a heavy wrestling game plan. He likes to do a lot of spinning back fists and a bunch of crazy stuff like that. Right. I think that could leave him open for Kakhramonov to take him down, but Kakhramonov just doesn't do enough damage. I think Nurmagomedov will be able to land the more effective striking. If he gets taken down, I like him to get back up, and I think he'll find a knockout here as well.
Yeah, I don't think that Nurmagomedov's a slouch on the ground. If you see Kakhramonov get this takedown, it's going to be still a decent fight there. Has pretty good BJJ, Nurmagomedov, but interesting fight, good matchup. I don't have a betting spot for this fight. I'm just going to let this one play out. So, Nurmagomedov KO round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Julian Marquez versus Deron Winn. Man, if Deron Winn wins this fight, I would just be shocked. Everything is kind of going against Deron Winn, maybe besides just the basic wrestling advantage. But in my opinion, his build and his style isn't really MMA friendly. He can wrestle okay, but when you got the fence there and you're way smaller than your opponent, you got a lot more weight to try to pick up when those people are on the cage. And I don't think that highly of Julian Marquez, but Julian Marquez, if he loses this fight, probably shouldn't be in the UFC. I mean, another thing to think about, this is MMA math talking, but Phil Hawes whooped Deron Winn's ass. Julian Marquez beat Deron Winn on the Contender Series, given it was a while ago. I just don't know how Marquez drops this fight. What are you thinking here?
I mean, I think Wynn's only really chance here is to win a decision and kind of just lay on him all 3 rounds. But
right.
I think Marquez will. Well, I think he might get taken down, but I think he'll find a way to get back up and find a knockout. Both these guys were knocked out pretty violently on the same night.
Yeah.
I think that was the Texas card, Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Marquez finds a knockout here. Deron Winn is he's just too small for this.
A middleweight division, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, if the grappling's happening near the cage, it's probably just not his fight. I mean, I know he trains with Khabib and stuff. I just don't think all that translates here. And like I said, I don't think Julian Marquez is that great, but he's also got a decent ground game. If this goes to the round, he could have a chance to find a submission and stay in the fight. And he tried to go blow for blow with RoboCop, and you just can't really play that game with the power puncher like Rodriguez. And I just don't know. If he loses this one, I'd just be fucking shocked. I got 1.5 units on Marquez, and I think that line should shift further in his favor, but as of right now, things I guess are not changing. But I got Marquez KO round 1. You got the same round?
Yes.
All right. Okay, for the next fight, we have Jake Matthews versus Matt Semelsberger, Semi the Jedi. Jake Matthews with a big performance in the summer over Andre Fiallo. Pretty much dominated every moment of that fight. Never really had any trouble. And before his Sean Brady fight was on a UFC run, just pretty much outboxing people. And he took time off coming into that Fiallo fight, and it looked like it paid off. He looked way more experienced. Like I said, I don't think he even got hit. Like, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he got hit at all. He looked much improved in his last fight.
And I think Fiallo doesn't have exactly the same style as Matt Semelsberger, but a similar style. They kind of rely on a power punch to help them stay in a fight. Semelsberger, and that Alex Morono fight, pretty much just missed all of his punches until round 3 when he knocked Morono down, and then kind of had a chance to win that. And beat AJ Fletcher in his debut with some wrestling. I think that Jake Matthews is just going to outclass him here. And I think Matt's going to be pretty cautious of some of the counters and the boxing of Jake here. And I think this is going to skate to a decision. I don't know. I really like this one to go to decision. And maybe that's an extra play on this fight. But I do have Jake Matthews parlayed up with Morozov at the first fight. But, yeah, Jake should be able to outclass him. Matt relies on just that right hand to knock people out. And I don't think that's going to come into play quite as much here. Anything else you thought?
Yeah, I think Matthews rides his momentum off that Fiallo fight and continues it here in this fight. I know Semelsberger lost to Morono in his last fight, but you just saw Morono. He looked pretty good on short notice against Ponzinibbio.
Right.
But, yeah, I'm on Jake Matthews pretty much all the way here.
Okay, Jake Matthews by decision. Okay, we have Cheyanne buys, just kidding, Vlismas, versus Cory McKenna. Cheyanne Vlismas getting finished by Roman Dolidze daily. Cory McKenna won her last fight against Miranda Granger. Not much of an opponent, in my opinion. We predicted that win, not too crazy. Miranda Granger kind of sucks. And she lost to Elise Reed in a weird fight where she just got tagged up the whole fight, even though Elise Reed has no wrestling. What I saw, I was a young fighter, not having a great fight IQ. Cheyanne Vlismas, pretty quality fighter. I'm going to pick her here. Better stand-up, has the ground game to compete with Cory McKenna and get up from her takedowns from a kind of a smaller girl. And also a more threatening fighter for a finish here. And I'm going to see this one go into a decision. Cheyanne Vlismas, oh God, what's her goddamn name? What's that? Vanessa Demopoulos, the stripper. She fought her on the regional scene, kind of was beating her up pretty good until she broke her arm in that fight, Vlismas. That's a good example of a grappler she faced. It's not as much of a pure grappler, but also still can wrestle. I just see Vlismas outclassing a younger McKenna here. Skill set doesn't seem to completely match up to the age and maybe being a prospect. Anything you got here?
You nailed it, man.
There's not much. Do I really care about this fight? Not really. Vlismas decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Cody Brundage versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. Anyway, Oleksiejczuk here. I think he's still looking fast at 185 from his move down from 205. Pretty much beat Sam Alvey's ass, but that was anticipated. Cody Brundage, actually, I kind of underestimated him in ways, but he also made a comeback win on Dalcha and then beat Tresean. I thought Tresean would win that fight, but threw a kind of a naked leg kick, and Cody caught him on the chin and won the fight. But in this fight, it's going to look a little different. I think Michal is going to be moving forward, kind of using his piston of a left hand, making it hard for Cody to find a spot for his striking. He'll try to use his wrestling. I think Oleksiejczuk can probably get up from the wrestling. But Oleksiejczuk put on competitive fights with Dustin Jacoby up at light heavyweight. I mean, that's a pretty good sign that you're a pretty quality fighter. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think that fight does stand out. We bet on Jacoby in that one, but I was pretty nervous. I think the move down in weight for Oleksiejczuk is proving big dividends here. I mean, he was a little chunkier at 205.
Right.
Lost some of that fat to get down to 185. He looked really good against Sam Alvey, but then again, it is Sam Alvey.
Right.
I do still think Oleksiejczuk will be able to find a knockout here. He's got a pretty good left hand, and I think he'll find a finish here with the left hook.
Nice. Yeah, I got Oleksiejczuk down here for KO round 1, and I don't really have too many other thoughts on the fight. But you said you might use a parlay up Oleksiejczuk somewhere here.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Just trying to figure out who I want to pick, pair him with, but I do like Oleksiejczuk in this fight.
Okay, Oleksiejczuk KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we're looking at a highly competitive, anticipated matchup in my eyes. Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. Drew Dober, slight favorite here. Bobby Green, slight underdog. I mean, if you're going to give me Bobby Green at plus money in any scenario, I'm going to like it. And I'm picking Bobby Green here. Especially when this dude can win judges' scorecards pretty well. I really like the fact of his skill set. Good volume, wrestling base, caught with a substance. That's going to help as well towards maybe a little steroid use. Don't know what the substance was, but he kind of checks those boxes. Defensive boxing. And Drew Dober, the fire hydrant of a head man, recently beating Rafael Alves, who is a decent opponent, but also I think Bobby Green would fuck him up pretty good. Beat Terrence McKinney after kind of eating all the strikes from Terrence McKinney, and had some other losses before. But I think the fight that stands out most to me and why I want to pick Bobby Green is his fight versus Brad Riddell. I think Brad Riddell would have a hard time versus someone like Bobby Green. And Dober was willing to go into too many 50-50 exchanges there and made that fight real close. I think there was a debate that he could have won it. But I think Bobby versus competitive strikers just has a great record here. Nasrat Hatparast, solid boxing striker, easily beat Ally Quinta, killed him. Fazeev left a lot of questions, destroyed him in round 3. And I don't know, I'm all over Bobby Green as an underdog here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I do like Bobby Green here to win a decision. Most of his wins are by decision. I think he's a pretty good point fighter, throws out that jab. I don't see him finishing Dober at all with that fire hydrant head.
Right.
If there is a finish, I see Drew Dober round 1, but I don't really see that happening. I think Drew Dober in his last fight with Alves, he did a really good job of going to the body there to find that finish, and that ended up crumpling Alves there in that one. And then his fight before that, he ate a ton of punches, and McKinney gassed himself out, and Drew Dober ended up finding the finish there. Bobby Green's not going to gas himself out like that. He's going to point fight you for 3 rounds, and that's how I see this fight playing out, and I like Bobby Green, to win a decision.
Yeah, I think that what you just said super accurate. The last 2 fights is 2 guys who fatigued as the fight went on. Bobby in rounds 2 and 3, I mean, that's probably money. I think round 3, I would assume he'd win that round unless Drew, can keep his gas tank up really well. But yeah, Bobby Green, jabs from the hips, right hands. I also like that he doesn't commit on his punches too much. He's just touching you and moving. And,
yeah, he's pretty defensively sound as well, rolling with the punches.
Right. I think that, like you said as well, the body shots of Dober, that's probably what he's going to have to go to here, because Bobby's not very hittable. So, give me Bobby Kane Green in a comeback win after filling in for Islam. Okay, for the next fight, we have Alex Caceres versus Julian Erosa. Alex Caceres, pretty basic game, kind of loves a karate-style stance, kind of a quicker fighter, and has more of a ground game. I think he likes to win by submission a little bit more, and isn't super high volume, loves just to skirt around the cage. And we're in a small cage here. Julian Erosa, more of a dog fighter, coming forward, doesn't mind eating punches, and I'm all over Julian Erosa in this fight. I also think he stands to gain more. If you're looking at his last fight against Hakeem Dawodu, that's a pretty good fucking striker that he just hurt multiple times and beat. Dawodu missed weight as well. I just see Erosa, he does have kind of a style where he can run into things and get hurt. I just like him to get into a dogfight here, beat Caceres. I don't see him getting submitted on the ground by Caceres. If anything, I think he would be in top position, which would lead to him winning the judges' scorecards. I also could see a finish here from Erosa, but Caceres, like I said, fights very safe. And it's hard to pick against Erosa right now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he'll find a decision here, is what I like. And Erosa's last fight, he was a pretty big underdog in that fight too, at plus 185. I think Dawodu was like minus 220, somewhere around there.
Right.
That fight really does stand out. He won pretty much every exchange in that fight. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and I like him to keep that momentum coming and win a decision here.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Caceres has a lot of UFC experience, but if we're talking about recently, I think Julian Erosa's run and caliber of opponents and just style of fighting is just gonna win this fight. I do have Erosa parlayed up, and yeah, I'll post that bet later this week. Erosa by decision. Okay, for our next fight, we have Amir Abazi versus Alexandro Costa. Alexandro Costa, you probably remember him if you watched the first week of the Contender Series, and I think, wasn't it the kickoff fight? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was the first fight.
Yeah, it was the first fight of all the Contender Series this year, and I think he had some hype on his name coming into that fight. They were talking about him on the broadcast like crazy. And
yeah, I think he was like a minus 235 favorite going into that fight.
And he came in to that fight and, just didn't really do anything. He kind of sat back, waited for his opponent to come into range, and then kind of expected the contract after the fight, even though he didn't do anything. And, I think that his skill set is better than what maybe he showed on the Contender Series, maybe just a little bit nervous or gun-shy. But has a pretty good go in combat or whatever, that Brazilian fight league. Good power in the hands, although he's not the fastest with his hands. Submission ability, he can get someone to the ground, can lay on his back and pull out submissions, very strong in the ground game. But an opponent like Amir Albazi, that's going to be pretty hard to submit this guy. He's got a very good ground game. And I think he's just going to be better on the feet here. I like this fight to go to decision. Costa showed a pretty good ground game from what I could see in all of his regional fights. And I just see that Albazi will be the twitchier fighter in the stand-up, getting in and out of range with his punches. And if this fight goes to the ground, Costa looked like he gets a lot taken out of him just from the grappling, because I think he used a lot of his strength with his grappling. He did... God, there was some fight... So the one fight he lost by split decision, he armbarred the guy 4 times in that, and the dude just wouldn't tap, and he never broke his arm. So Albazi, though, like I said, in and out, flashier fighter, and I see him winning this decision. You got anything else?
Yeah, I think Costa, he was gun-shy in that contender series fight. He didn't throw a punch for the first 4 minutes of that fight there. He did have a nice calf kick. He's pretty powerful. He knocked down Luna in that fight, and then jumped in his guard, and then immediately got reversed when Luna was stunned. So, I mean, I do think Albazi will be able to control him on the ground a bit. It did look like Costa did have good takedown defense, but I still do like Albazi to win a decision. I don't know if he'll be able to find a submission here. Costa's never been submitted before. I am leaning the Albazi decision here.
Yeah, I think he's got options in this fight, and I would expect another slow-paced fight. If he's going to fight that way on the Contender Series, Albazi doesn't really just give anybody anything. He's not going to walk into punches. So,
yeah, I mean, I if I do see a finish, I think it'd be Albazi early in round 1, just due to Costa starting so slow.
Yeah.
But once he got going, he seemed fine. But Costa, that is, he is pretty powerful. So that is Albazi, something Albazi will have to avoid.
Right.
Power shots.
Okay, well, we got Amir Albazi by decision. Okay, for our next fight, we have Arman Tsarukyan versus Damir Ismagulov. Saw a lot of his Tourette's in his last fight. That I don't know if I can totally do that face, but Arman, we all know pretty well. Fantastic wrestler. Fought Gamrot. I thought he won that fight. Gamrot didn't see him to do hardly any damage in that fight, but just wrestled him at the end of the fight and kind of won. Was on a really good run here, and what I really like about Arman's game is not only the wrestling, but also the kicks he has. I mean, he has a crazy good body kick that he used against Gamrot. Hurt him quite a few times with it. And I think he's improving his hands every single time as well. Damir fights extremely safe. Has that wrestling he's able to use, but another person, I thought he lost his last fight versus Deron. And, it's going to be a tough matchup here, because both guys will make it really close. But I think Arman could take down Ismagulov, and I think that Arman can also compete with the stand-up. But Damir fights safe, fights at distance, and this could be a tough fight. What are your thoughts?
Tsarukyan's last fight, that was a 5-round fight. He did kind of gas towards the 4th and 5th round, which we won't have to see that because this is a 3-round fight. If Tsarukyan's last fight was a 3-rounder, I think he would have won that fight. So just pointing that out. I do like Sarukin's body kicks, and I do think those will be a factor here in this fight. Gram Kutaladze did some damage with his body kicks on Ismagulov. He didn't really throw him that much, but when he did, he landed pretty hard.
Right.
Demir, in and out of range, he had a super nice jab, quick jab. It seemed to put a lot of damage on Gram's face.
Yeah.
Had a nosebleed, and I think that kind of maybe swayed some of the judges there. Just the visual of the damage there. I do think this will probably be more of a stand-up fight. Probably the grappling will probably even out, but I do think Sarukian will pull off a decision here.
Yeah, I mean, Garam also, the timing of his takedowns in that fight versus Ismagulov, like, he had a couple real bad takedown attempts, and that's just not his base. He's got good jiu-jitsu, but is mostly just known for his striking, Garam. And he got down Ismagulov at the end of the fight and had a knee to the chest. And Herb Dean stood them up. He took the position away from him, which I actually think resulted in Garam not winning the decision. I thought he had won the round to the point, and he would have ended in top control in like the last 30 seconds. Right. And
in the last like 10 seconds, Ismagulov had probably one of his hardest strikes in the round, which wouldn't have happened if that was
back in its position. And,
right.
And like I said, like, if Garam is not shooting the best takedowns here on Ismagulov and he still got one, Arman's real fucking fast. If he gets down there, it could be a takedown here for Sarukian, and he could lock up 2 of the rounds with takedowns as well. But like you said as well, I think Arman can compete in this stand-up, and I'm really interested to see
with these high-level grapplers, I mean, I think that'll kind of even out, but...
Right. But yeah, Sarukian by decision seems like the best play here. So, yeah. Okay, for the main event, the final fight of 2022, we have Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. Before we get into the breakdown, drop a like, subscribe. We're on a big run with the betting. We'll have bets on Thursday coming out. And, drop a comment, like, subscribe. Here we go. In this fight, we're looking at a pretty cool matchup in my opinion, and the way I see this fight is I see Sean Strickland outclassing Jared Cannonier until he doesn't. And if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say is that Sean Strickland spars a lot, and I think he has a really good feel for distance and his boxing, and I also just don't think coming back from the Alex Pereira knockout is going to feel too good here. And Jared's a really big guy, hits pretty hard, and I see Jared just getting touched up until he finds the strike that touches Sean on the chin and ends him. So that's my thoughts.
I think Sean, obviously like him, hope he is successful, but I think Cannonier will win this fight. Sean's got obviously a good jab. I think he's staying so straight up. I think Cannonier's leg kicks will be able to wear on Strickland.
Yeah. And
then Cannonier will find the knockout punch. Like I said, I do like Strickland, but I do think Cannonier finds the knockout in this one.
Yeah, Sean's just, I love all his shit talking. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's all hilarious. I think some people just don't understand all of it too much. I think it's all funny. I would cheer for him to win this fight, but in terms of making a pick on this fight, I think I have to pick Jared Cannonier here. Sean, yeah, like you said, he stands very square, gonna have his legs open for kicks. Even Alex Pereira touched his leg quite a few times. Kind of stalks forward, and he's gonna have to meet a whole new strength here with Jared. I'm afraid for him in this fight. I wish he took a little bit more time after that Pereira knockout still. And Jared, even though he fought Izzy, it was boring as fuck, he still hit Izzy quite a few times, actually. And another good fight to look at is the Kelvin Gastelum fight. Sat him down with some power shots. It's really hard to sit down Kelvin Gastelum with power shots. We just know this guy has good power, and yeah, I like a KO here. I don't think I need to say.
It's kind of hard to think that Cannonier was a former heavyweight, and then, I mean, he did fight Blachowicz at 205, was competitive, but still, I mean, Cannonier's carries that power with him, and I think he'll be able to find it here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes on what I was saying. Like, it's probably gonna look like Sean is getting ahead, and then boop, it's over, just like that. And that's what I'm scared for. Do you see any bets on this fight?
Cannonier is at plus 100 right now. Line's been moving a little bit. If he gets to like plus 110, I'll probably bet on him, but not at the moment.
All right, watch that line. Jared Cannonier, KO round 2. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the picks. We got bets coming out on Thursday, NFL video coming out on Wednesday, and possibly a betting recap coming out in the future. So hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you like the win streak. Hope you enjoy the picks. Again, drop a like, subscribe, comment. Anything else you got?
Let's finish the year strong. Last card and for about a month, so let's do it.
Yes, sir. All right. Peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. The old doubted me said I couldn't do it. The old said I couldn't do it. Look at me now.